All right, well, as people come in, let me give a little bit of an introduction. So today's webinar is sponsored by Psych Services. We're a team of learning and behavior experts. We're really passionate about supporting you. Very happy that you joined us today. We are currently seeing a lot of parents and caregivers struggling to do too much with too little resources. So when your children are struggling, it's hard to know where to turn. And as a behavior expert, I've worked with a lot of families and seeing all the efforts that parents and caregivers are putting in to try to create calm and structured homes, even with everything that's going on in our current ever-changing lives. So we don't want you to feel like you're alone in this journey to help your kids and help you have that calm, structured home. So we want to lighten the load by giving you some helpful tips and tools in these different webinars. We have a series of different free trainings going on right now. We also provide high quality services and resources beyond these webinars. And that includes pocket coaching, which is a short-term solution-oriented like parent consultation service. We do educational consultation, and we also do assessments. At the end of the presentation, I'll share more information on our other services in case you want to learn more. And for those who are just joining in, welcome. I'm Morgan. I'm a behavior analyst for Psych Services. We have Phoebe here as well. She's our moderator. So feel free to make any comments or questions in the chat, and we will get to those at different parts of the presentation. So today's topic is on improving sibling relationships. We broke up this topic into two trainings. This one is more for families that have kids that are a little bit of that younger age. We're doing a training next week for the same topic, but kids that are a little bit older. All right, some background on Psych Services. So we are a team, as I mentioned, of psychologists and behavior analysts. And so we have a really strong collaborative approach to our services. We work together across the fields to service families and schools. We work in person in California, and we also provide virtual services across most states in the United States. We do assessments, intervention, and consultations. Okay, so for today's topic, before we get into the strategies, we want to think about what influences rivalry. So I want you to think about the most classic scenario of your kids not getting along. So if you had to just think of the most classic example of a rivalry that's happening in your house. And I want you to think about, is there a particular toy or activity involved? Is this always over sharing the iPad? Is this always over who's going to, go first on the board game? So if there's a certain toy or activity, that's usually present during these tricky moments. Okay, now think about, how does that fight start, escalate, or evolve? So the typical pattern, is it somebody kind of reaching and taking something when it's not their turn? Is it saying a mean comment? How does it escalate? Now maybe they're saying mean comments back and forth at each other. How does it evolve? Sometimes we might even see kids, having aggression towards each other, or throwing toys, or having a big tantrum. So what does the escalation cycle look like? And when do you typically step in? And when you are stepping in, how do you do that? What are you saying? What is your role as the peacemaker? What does that look like for you? Maybe that looks different for you and your partner. Maybe you have a different approach to these. So now that you're thinking about that ideal classic scenario, we're going to use those clues to target effective change. Okay, the three strategies that we're going to go through. The first one is called pairing. Next, we'll go through how to practice, and then we'll go into reward. So the first strategy is called pairing. this is a concept that's from behavior analysis, the field that I work in, and pairing basically is all about associating yourself with something fun that somebody else likes, so then they think that you're fun. So in this scenario with siblings, this can also happen where basically if we have one girl here and she loves airplanes, and then she sees that her brother, he's now playing with airplanes, she will associate him as also being fun. Wow, he has airplanes, so he must be fun. A good way to think about this in your own life is if you think about the friends that you have the strongest relationships with, you probably have some common interests. And the more that you do those common interests together, the stronger your friendship and that bond builds, because you have something in common that you like. So for sometimes siblings, they already have shared interests. They just need to work on like sharing and taking turns. But for some, they might have different interests, or even because of their ages, be playing with the same items in different ways. And so pairing is a really great way that we can come in and facilitate this building of that bond, of creating this kind of triangle between their favorite toy or activity and their sibling, to create it all like giving this really fun experiences together to build a bond. Okay, this is how you do it. So the first step is, for each child, think about a favorite toy or activity. It's better if it's like specific for each child. So we can have here that this girl loves dolls, and we could have maybe the brother who likes airplanes. So we're gonna identify a favorite toy or activity for each one of them. So since in this scenario we have 2 kids, we're gonna do pairing twice. So we want to set up 10 minutes. It's okay if it's 5 minutes. It's okay if it's 1 minute. You know, we're gonna get to where whatever is working best for your family. So if we set up 10 minutes a day where we want the children to play with that favorite activity with each other. So going along with step 3, and then I'll give an example of what this looks like. Step 3 is you can boost the fun by adding in new toys or teaching new ways to play. So if we have the girl, we're focusing on her first. So she loves dolls. So now I need to get brother to come in here and play dolls with us. So he might not be interested. So we might have to kind of on the side, you know, tell him like, hey, first we're gonna play dolls with sister, and then I'll go play your favorite video game with you. So we might wanna give them a little bit of motivation to join in. And then when you bring in the brother, you could bring in, maybe you got a brand new doll. Or you don't always have to be buying new toys. Maybe you show how to like make little cutout hats and clothes for the doll, something that the girl didn't think about. Or build a pillow fort and the dolls can pretend they're living in it. But instead of you, the parent, sharing this fun, creative idea, you're gonna have the brother come over and share this idea. Hey sister, we can build a fort with the dolls, look. And then she has fun with brother. She thinks, wow, he's so cool. He thought of this really cool fort idea. Playing with dolls is way more fun with my brother than it was by myself. So your role during this is focusing on getting the brother staying here, giving him ideas on how to boost that fun, and you're supporting him in creating that fun bond with the sister. So now that was like the turn for sister. So now maybe you give them a little break. They get to go play by themselves. You do that video game that you promised with brother. Okay, now we're gonna come back, and now it's brother's turn. So he loved airplanes. Now you're gonna get the sister to come in and join in with airplanes. Now your focus is completely on sister. Maybe you show her how to like use little hoops, and now you can fly the airplane through the hoops in the house, or draw different houses or landing pads that the planes have to maneuver around and land. So somehow we're making planes more fun, but brother thinks it's sister's idea, and he's like, wow, she's so cool. I had no idea how much she loved airplanes and how fun we can have together. So again, you're focusing first on one kid, giving them a little break, and then focusing on the other kid. The whole idea is to make this really fun. I do have some tips to make this go even smoother. So starting at the level they can be successful at. So if your kids are not ready to play for 10 minutes together, maybe they're really young and they can't even do an activity for 10 minutes straight at all, that's totally fine. We can start with 1 minute. We can start with 2 minutes. We want to start at a time that they will feel is fun, that they will feel like that was successful. And then over time, you can make that longer and longer, the more success they're having. But starting off small is fine. You want to model what you want to see. So you're going to be there playing with them during this time. So maybe you're making fun comments, you're not giving too many instructions, you're just also being there to facilitate the fun. Whoa, cool. Wow, sister, I love your airplane. Just being very animated, making this whole scenario feel like this was like the most fun thing that they could do that day. So you want to start with that full assistance, and then you're going to slowly fade out how much you are helping, so that way you can give space for their own relationship to grow. Phoebe, do we have some questions?
We do. I have one question that I think might fit right here. This is coming from one of our attendees. My daughters, 2 years apart, fight over toys every day. How can we resolve the fight but stay fair? I thought this might have to do a little bit with the practicing section, but I wanted to throw it out here just in case.
Yeah, so thinking about, if they're fighting every day, thinking about what are those fights typically about. So this pairing strategy is like a proactive strategy. It's not necessarily addressing what they're going to do to prevent, or what to do to manage those fights when it's happening. We'll talk about that maybe next with the practice section. But thinking about this strategy is to help build their bond, help build their relationship, to see that they're more fun. And that in turn will help overall have less fights, be less irritated with each other. You probably can imagine for some of your really good friends, if they do something that's irritating to you, you kind of brush it off a little bit because you have such a good bond already. So that's what pairing is about. It's about making the friendship between the siblings so strong that some of the things that used to be kind of annoying, they're not going to bother them so much. Any other questions on this part right here, Phoebe?
No, that's it for now, Morgan. I have a specific question that we can hold on till the end for.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next is practice. So this is where you're thinking about those exact moments that are the most challenging for your children. So like the question, you're saying they're fighting every single day. Think about what is that typically surrounding. We really want to focus in on what is the trickiest moment. And we want to set up role plays so that way we can proactively teach our children how they should respond in those moments. So by teaching them when they're calm, like being like, hey, come over here, we're going to do a practice together, we're going to do a new game together, and really practicing when they're calm is going to help. When those moments come up, they already have an understanding of what's expected for them in the moment. They already have practiced being able to do conflict resolution, or say my turn, your turn, things like that. So they already have learned that skill. So then when that tricky moment comes up, you can just jump in and say like, oh, remember, you're supposed to say my turn. Remember, we practiced it. And so it's obviously going to be a little bit different based on the age. We'll go through a scenario next as an example. But basically, you should be choosing something to practice that is those most tricky moments, and practicing when they're calm before a fight ever happens. And here's some tips. So similar to the other tip, you're a model for your kids. That means that they are looking at you to see, how are you acting? Are you stressed? Are you tense? Are you yelling? We want to be calm. You want to have this calm voice, calm body, speaking slowly. Kids really pick up on this, all these nonverbal cues. Of course, you're probably very frustrated when your kids are getting in their 5th fight of the day. But when you're coming in to show them how to handle that, take a moment to take a deep breath, come in and model being calm, because they really are aware of our body language. Before you're doing your role play practice, you want to set up clear expectations beforehand. So sharing is a very big, common concern relating to siblings getting along. So if we're going to set up a practice for sharing, I might say like, okay, look, I have a brand new toy I'm bringing. It's this really fun slinky, and we're going to practice taking turns with the slinky. Okay, so I'm going to give it to sister first, and then brother, I want you to say, my turn. Depending on the level of language, they might say, I want a turn, please, or can I play? Whatever language you choose is appropriate for your kids. Even if he's just saying, my turn. Okay, sister, he said my turn. Now you're going to give him the slinky. Okay, so he gives the slinky, and then he's playing. Okay, sister, your turn to say my turn and pass it back. So you tell them ahead of time, we're going to practice taking turns. So we are giving them that experience of being able to say my turn and successfully getting what they want. When you're doing turn taking, it's very helpful to set a timer because it also takes the pressure off of you on whose turn it is. It's just setting a timer. Okay, 5 minutes with Slinky, and then you get 5 minutes with the Slinky. So then you set a timer. Oh, the timer went up. What the timer went off? What do we do? My turn. You can say my turn. So it helps them understand it's fair. The minutes are fair. Even kids at a very young age can get very used to using timers, and it's something that is helpful to alleviate that anxiety around when is my turn going to be, if they can see the timer ticking down. So that might be something that's helpful to add in. Okay, we're going to do a little example of what this might look like. So here, these brothers, they don't like sharing the basketball. So dad's going to come in and he's going to teach them, okay, in 1 minute, so I'm giving them a heads up for something they don't like. They don't like sharing. I'm giving a heads up. In 1 minute, you can say my turn. So I'm letting this brother know he has 1 minute left. I'm letting this brother know in 1 minute it will be your turn. So that really helps, again, that kind of anxiety feeling of like, I want it, when is my turn? He has it, I don't have it. We're setting very clear expectations. And now he's coming in, it's my turn. And you might have to, of course, help this brother remember that when someone says, it's my turn, and we gave that heads up, then we might need to help him remember to give the ball to his brother, let brother play for a little while, and then you might need to help this brother remember he can say, it's my turn. Phoebe, do we have some questions about this topic?
Sure, I have a couple questions here. One is about having two 4-year-old boys, one on the spectrum and one who's very hyperactive, making it difficult to pair them. So engaging siblings with different interests, different likes. Tips for that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I have a expertise in working with individuals with autism and families of children with autism. So I understand kind of the situation that you're explaining there, or just anyways, families might have children of different levels or different ages or different interests. So it's about thinking, what is something that you can set up that they'll be successful in? So even if you think of your child that has autism, what's something that they like, and how can you incorporate your other sibling into that, even if it's for a short time, and even if you're really helping your other child who has all that energy, hey, come sit with me, just sit with me for 1 minute, we're gonna play together for 1 minute, and then I'll come over and keep dancing with you. So it's doing that pairing, but it can be toned down. You might need to support more, and you might need to do it for less time, but you can still do that strategy.
Perfect. Thanks, Morgan. Similarly and I feel like you addressed this a little bit, but for siblings with a bit of an age gap, like almost a 9-year-old and almost 5-year-old, what are some maybe tips for pairing there?
Yeah, and that is a big area of sibling conflicts, especially because the older one doesn't want to, they feel like they're too old and that's too babyish to do those other things. And so thinking about some activities that can really accommodate big age gaps. So maybe like going on a nature walk together, and maybe you give them like a little bit of different roles. So maybe the older one is like doing a scavenger hunt. He has like binoculars, and maybe the younger one is like holding the basket and collecting things. So they're still doing a similar activity. You know, things like building a fort. Those are things that, even if there's a big age gap, that are still really fun to kids. And a lot of that like kind of physical play, outdoor play, things like that are ones that you can bring in and kind of close that age gap.
That's great. Morgan, one more quick question before you move on. For siblings 8 and 12, the younger one really likes to control the play, who does what, where, when. How can they help that to increase play between siblings, parents, just playing with the younger sibling?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would suggest doing this practice strategy, but instead of doing like my turn, your turn for sharing, you can do like, okay, we're gonna play the way that, you know, number one wants to play. You get to pick all the rules, and you know, you tell us exactly what to do, and you're the boss. And then we're gonna switch, and now it's the other kid's turn. Okay, now you're gonna play. You're gonna be the boss and tell us how to play. What are the rules? And give them turns of being in control instead of like turns of having an object, but taking turns of like, who's the leader, who's going to choose the activity, and how we do it.
Great, that's perfect, Morgan. No more questions for now, so go ahead and move on.
All right, thank you, Phoebe. So the next and last strategy we have is reward. So in the field of behavior analysis, we're really big on celebrating the positive things we want to see, so that way we can keep that motivation going to see more of those behaviors. So that's positive reinforcement. We really want to highlight when we see them being good. That's what we want to focus on. So everything else we were talking about was focusing on specific behaviors that you wanted to see less of. You were thinking about what are those tricky moments. Now we're thinking, what behaviors do we want to see more of? This could be like, I want them to take turns. I want them to use nice words. I want them to have a safe body if your kids are hitting each other, throwing toys at each other. So we really want to focus on the things that we want to see, rather than, you know, making a list of like, no hitting, no screaming. We want it to say like, be safe, use nice words, take turns, follow directions. So focus on what you want to see. Then you're going to set up a reward system. I'll show you an example next, where your children can earn rewards for doing those specific behaviors that you've set up. And then you're going to catch them being good. So this is what, I'll do the tips, and then I'll show you what it will look like. So tips, especially for this young age range, I love making this as like a fun visual, having your children join in and making the visual. They can choose, do they want it to be stars? Do they want it to be Peppa Pig faces? Really get their input on this. And you're gonna make it as a visual, and you can hang it up somewhere where everybody in the house can see it and be motivated by it. Have your children share some ideas of things that they want to earn. It does not always have to be getting new toys. It can be like getting to pick what TV show they watch that night, or doing a fun scavenger hunt with mom, or having a dance party with dad. So you can do some activities as well that you don't have to buy extra toys. And then you want to always be keeping that reward list fresh. So we want to keep it interesting. Even if they absolutely love playing hide and seek with dad, if they do it 4 nights in a row, it probably will get a little bit boring. So we want to have a variety of things to keep them motivated. And here's an example of what a reward chart could look like, but this is something that you can totally customize. I think it's really fun to bring your kids in and have them help whatever they want to make this look like. But basically, you're going to have on the reward chart what they should do and what they can earn. If your kids are really young, they're not reading yet, this can be pictures as well. You can have them draw pictures of what they look like when they're having a calm body or taking turns. You can print out pictures online, and also like what they can earn. So it doesn't have to be text, it can also be illustrations, or they can draw it. So examples, what I should do, use nice words like I want to turn and have a calm body. What I can earn, I get to download a new game on my iPad, or I can have my pick of movie for family movie night. And here it says, how do I earn it? I get 3 days in a row with stars. So this is for a kid that can wait a little bit for a reward. You might be thinking that's going to be very hard for my child to do 3 days in a row. You might start off with 1 day, 1 star. You follow all the rules for the day, you get 1 star, you immediately get a reward. Once they get really good at that, then you bump it up. Now you have to get 2 stars, then you bump it up, now you have to get 3 stars. So we're increasing that expectation. If they don't earn a star, so let's say they're playing with brother took something and they got mad and they hit brother, and so now you're going to come in and say like, uh-oh, look, you didn't have a calm body, so you didn't earn a star today, but it's okay, you can try again tomorrow. So we're not doing punishment, we're not doing time out, we're not, taking things away. We're just bringing them to the reward chart and showing them you didn't earn a star today, so you don't get to download a new game on your iPad. They didn't earn the reward, but you can try again tomorrow. So that is definitely in line with the views of ABA, our field, which is we want to just give them motivation to earn rewards rather than taking things away. All right, so that's the summary. We discussed pairing, practice, and reward. I also made a visual handout that is a summary of everything that we discussed. And Phoebe, we can start doing questions.
Perfect. I have one specific question from earlier that I'll go ahead and start with. Can you discuss some strategies to deal with sibling rivalry? Again, when one sibling is on the spectrum, my daughter, who is not on the spectrum, is constantly trying to copy her sibling who is on the spectrum, even though they give her a lot of attention and praise her for what she does.
Okay, so the child that's not on the spectrum is trying to join in to kind of get that extra attention. I think that I would, for that scenario, if you think that the other child is really kind of wanting that extra attention, I think that I would do separate times of the day where you're going to like moderate that activity of them playing together, the pairing, but then also set aside some times of the day that's just time solo with each child, so that way they don't have that feeling like they're competing for that attention. So you can even set aside, like, make it really fun, like you do like like Sunday breakfast date with mommy, so something makes it feel really special. And so you're really setting aside specific times of the day where you can work on them building their relationship together, but also some solo times if they're feeling like they're kind of fighting over for your attention.
That sounds great. I just had another question come in. It's a family with 3 boys, and the oldest boy, 8, is constantly causing a lot of fights, and a lot of fights with his brothers. The family spends a lot of time with the older brother, taking him out for special shopping or just special activities, individual time. And no matter what positive things they're doing, they're not seeing a change in his fighting with his brothers.
I think the 8-year-old age is a perfect age to be really strict on the reward chart, especially if you're already trying to, take him out and do fun things. I would make him earn all those fun things that you're doing. So that's it seems like he likes doing those things that you guys are doing. And so I would have him really take some like control over setting up the reward chart, picking some rewards that are motivating to him, be very specific in what you want to see him do. What does that good behavior, what does that look like for him? And then if he's not engaging in that, if he's, causing conflict, then I would be very firm and like, you did not earn that special outing with us. I'm really sorry. I really wanted to go with you too. So that's the cool thing about the reward chart, is you're not taking away things. You're not becoming the villain in this situation. You're like, oh, I really hope you get to do that popcorn party with me this weekend. I can't wait. I love popcorn. So you're like rooting for them to earn the rewards. And if they don't earn it, you just, I'm really bummed. I really wanted to do that. I hope that tomorrow you can do better. So 8 years old is a great age to do that. And I would be very firm with him earning all those fun things you guys are doing.
Great. Thanks, Morgan. I don't have any other questions right now, but if anyone wants to send them in shortly, I'm sure Morgan will be happy to answer them.
Okay, we'll do the last call for questions, and I will go over the next steps if you're interested in learning more. So we do a pocket coaching service. This is something that I'm personally involved in. If you're looking for more ongoing support from a specialist in learning and behavior, we're offering this. It's a virtual service to help you strengthen your child's study skills, independence in their daily life, routines, social emotional skills, and behavior functioning. This is the short-term solution-oriented parent consultation service. It's about 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what you need, where you would have an individual consultation on what is the biggest challenges your family is experiencing. And then you get a behavior consult to help you with that. And last is the evaluation service that we offer. So if you are thinking you're interested in getting evaluation to determine if your child has a disorder, then you can contact us for a free consultation, and you can do that at psychservices.com. And we are also available to help you navigate the world of special education. Phoebe is also going to be putting in the chat a link to a survey. If you complete the survey, you have a chance of winning a $20 Target gift card. So hopefully you can pick out something that's really fun for your kids to do together, maybe like a little science experiment or arts and crafts, something to help them do that pairing strategy that we talked about. All right, any last questions, Phoebe?
Just a follow-up to the family with the 3 boys, with not rewarding the oldest brother, and when his other 2 brothers get to do something, he will either not care or he will act out and become aggressive. Not sure how he's going to act, so kind of not sure what the reaction will be.
Yeah, honestly, it can be very tricky with if the kids were kind of used to getting rewards for free and now they have to earn them. That can be a challenging period. But the more consistent you are with it, it's a little bit of might be challenging at the beginning, but then it can be very effective at teaching them they have to earn things, which is of course a valuable lesson anyways. And so if you're saying he's not going to be really motivated, I would for sure have him share his input on those rewards. So what are some fun things that he doesn't typically have access to? Can you think of some things that are like new for him that'd be very exciting and motivating for him to learn or for him to do? And yeah, there will probably be some tantrums on the days that he doesn't earn it, but that means it's working. That means that he is motivated enough by the rewards. If kids are bummed that they didn't get the reward, that means you chose a good reward. And then you might need to, throughout the day, remind them, hey, remember you're working for that fun popcorn party with me this weekend. So remember, I really want you to be having nice words with your brother so that way we can all do the popcorn party. So they might need that extra reminders throughout the day of what they're working for to give them that extra motivation.
Great, Morgan. I just had one more question come in. Our daughter 8 sometimes wants to be the teacher to her younger brother 4 who is on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. It can cause a conflict between them as the son views her as a sibling rather than a teacher. So any advice there?
Yeah, I actually see this a lot with siblings, that one is on the spectrum and one's not, that especially if you're getting ABA services, so that sibling is seeing a teacher coming in and getting all that attention and probably playing with a lot of toys. So it's a pretty common thing to see. I suggest having times where they can be the teacher role. So setting up like, hey, I brought this new like art stuff and I would love if you could show your brother how to do it. So really give them those special times where they can be that teacher and that helper. And then sometimes being very clear on like, oh, we don't need your help right now. Remember, you can help later with the art project. So getting very clear on the expectations on when they can be that helper and making sure that you're giving them opportunities to do that because it's something that they like. And then some other times where you're saying like, oh, remember, they don't need help with this right now, but you can help with this XYZ later on.
Great. Thanks, Morgan. That's the last question I have right now, unless there are any more coming in right now. So I'll go ahead and let you wrap up if you'd like.
All right, that's it. And so just your last reminder to do the very, very quick survey so that we can know if you liked the presentation, and then you get that chance to win that Target card. Yeah, and you can check us out at psychservices.com for any more information.
Perfect. I just had one quick question come in, if you don't mind answering it. Daughter doesn't want to share toys with her brother, sibling, but she only wants to share when she wants to. She doesn't want to share the rest of the time. Just any tips there for helping with sharing?
I would do the role play. Hey, we're going to practice sharing. And even if it's, a few minutes every day, so they just get in that expectation of this is what happens. And it's all about, at this young age, kids do have to start learning that sometimes they have to do what they don't want to do. And so that's what we're teaching. And so we're going to come in, we're going to practice sharing, and you're going to get that iPad or whatever it is that she does not like sharing, and you're going to practice taking turns so she can see that she can do it. She can see that it's successful. It's not so bad. And then I would suggest when it is time to share in real life, giving that 1 minute warning. Hey, in 1 minute, it's going to be your sister's turn. So that kind of helps with that like immediate sudden transition to giving up the item.
And then a quick follow-up on that. How often should we practice sharing during a day, during like a typical day?
This is totally dependent on your family. I understand a lot of you guys have so much going on right now with working from home or balancing virtual learning or just so many different things going on right now. So don't feel bad if you don't practice every day. I would, if you can, I would do a few minutes, a few times a week. And you don't have to do that forever. It's just getting them used to understanding the concept of sharing, seeing that it can go well, it's not so bad, having that positive experience with sharing. And so just if you have time for it, then practice it for a few minutes, a few times a week. Do not be hard on yourself if you don't get to it, because we have a lot going on. That's okay.
Perfect. I think that's it for now. So I'll go ahead and let you finally do a final wrap up. Thanks, Morgan.
All right. Thank you, Phoebe. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I love doing topics like this. I love doing parent trainings. And so I really appreciate you coming. I appreciate the questions. And I very much hope that you learned something and that it was helpful. And I hope to see you again for another webinar.